Hello folks, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. So welcome to my review of episode 160 of Black Clover. And boy, oh boy, I can see why a lot of people from the manga side, from the manga fan base of Black Clover, were waiting for the Dark Triad members to show up. I mean, I didn't expect them to be fodder or jokes, but holy crap, like, the Golden Dawn got a restaurant quality stomping in this episode. It's not even funny. So there's a couple of things I appreciate about this episode. But I expected the fight between Yuno and Zenon to be extended to at least 1 to 2 episodes, but holy crap, it didn't even last that long. Yeah, this episode really picked up. It follows suit from what happened last episode with Yuno and getting his backstory. We find out he's a prince of the Spade Kingdom, which ties into this episode. And there's a number of things I appreciate, like I said. The one thing I liked is it humanized Yuno even more than we already seen in the series. I mean, Yuno's always been prepped up as on a high pedestal. I mean, you saw it in this episode, even in flashbacks, where the members of the Golden Dawn were hyping Yuno up like crazy because he's become a vice captain now in so short amount of time. But this episode really brought him back down to earth. And I love his reaction by the end because it's such a humanized way. Someone like Yuno, so I like that. So it starts off with Yuno starting in the Golden Dawn, sees his comrades pretty much in ruin. He goes up against Gadoris, or Gadoris, however you want to pronounce it, one of the disciples under Zenon. It gives us a prime example of what we can expect from the disciples. Not the there's the father, there's the disciples, and there's the Dark Triad that are way above. Get some aspects of how strong they are, because even Yuno was having trouble. I mean, he got connected with a blow. He's using stone to like shield himself, so that's pretty cool. The action picks up pretty quickly, and he tries to attack Yuno, but Yuno uses Hush Dance to avoid his attacks, and at the same time get some of the comrades that are mortally wounded to safety, so they wouldn't be attacked. So that was kind of cool. And we got dialogue about Godois loves to inflict this type of abuse on people because he's strong and he can. But he doesn't know the motivations for the Dark Triad, which is interesting because Yuno asks him, why are you doing all this to the Golden Dawn? Why are you doing this to hurt people? Then I love Yuno's response. He said he wouldn't even give his name to someone like him. So he goes in, and eventually he does take him down, but after he lands a blow on Yuno, he actually brings up a point like, we were given, the Dark Triad took over the Spade Kingdom. They killed the previous king, which I'm assuming that's Yuno's father, because who else could it be? They gave whoever wanted to fight, they gave them power. They gave them power to join them. So that's what the disciples are. So we get that kind of exposition. But after that, it's pretty much GG for Garderois, because Yuno pretty much brings out his wind creation magic spirit of Zephyr sword. That was pretty cool. He tries to cut through the rock, and he ends up doing it. He also gives a pretty good speech. Regardless if I'm protecting the Clover Kingdom or I'm a prince of the Spade Kingdom, I'm still going to cut through you. So he does that. He cuts through him. I mean, he's pretty much done at this point. You see nothing but blood. We come to find out that actually takes a toll on Yuno, so I like that. It's not a case of Yuno just one-shotting this guy. No, this took some effort on his part, which really plays into what happens later on in the episode. So we go from Yuno to other members who got completely disfigured or completely demolished by Foil, the other subordinate, the other disciple who was with Zenon. He's using illusion to get the upper hand. It was only until Yuno showed up, although he did get caught pretty quickly because he exerted a lot of energy from his previous fight. So I like that. He got caught. This is another aspect of the episode that I really appreciate, because it'd been so easy for them to have Yuno come in and take this guy down, but instead, Latoli and they have Klaus take this guy down. So it would have been so easy for Yuno to do that, but they left it to them. Pretty good character moment for those two as well, because Latoli is thinking about when she was possessed by the elf magic, but then after that, Vengeance brings up the point that, oh, because we were possessed, we still have that magic of the elves inside those who were possessed, so we can use that to our advantage here. After 6 months of training, so she learned how to do that, but she said it still isn't enough to take this guy down. But it's only until Yuno showed up that gave her the opportunity to strike, At the same time, you have Claus, who's also getting a moment here, because he's like, so Latoil gets rid of the illusion, and then it's pretty much GG for Foil as well. So that's pretty cool. You get a pretty comedic moment, despite the fact it was a very serious episode. Bell acknowledging Yuno as a captain, even though he's a vice captain. You have Latoil and Bell going back and forth. Interrupted pretty quickly because in comes Zenon, and we come to find out that Lord Vengeance has been pierced. Like, so the clash we saw in the previous episode, we get the outcome in this episode, and I guess they had to do this because they had to hype up the Dark Triad. Because well, it's one thing to have a member of the Golden Dawn go down, but to have the captain go down and captured apparently, so that's crazy. So where they stand, or at least the Dark Triad stands, when it comes to power scaling, when it comes to like the Cloververse, so they're above the captains. I'm pretty sure Vengeance, although it's going to be debatable against Yami, but I'm pretty sure that Vengeance is like the top tier captain out of the 8 squads. So that's crazy. But yeah, Yuno sees this guy, is immediately triggered by what happened in his past, because we got what we saw with Ralph in the previous episode. He gave the lowdown what happened to Yuno as a kid. I actually want to go back to that because I actually got it wrong when I made my statement about, oh, there's someone who looks like Sister Lily in the opening. I guess that was obviously Yuno's mother, but I didn't know that at the time. In the past ties into what happens in this episode, because Zenon's like, oh, I guess Garderoyce and Foil failed. They're only at 40%, which is interesting because I'm saying so they weren't worth giving 50%. I don't think it would have mattered, but a 40% disciple gave some difficulty. Well, I'm curious what would have happened if they would have been higher than that. No matter, Zenon takes the job of taking these guys on. It doesn't take them long. They get pierced by the bone creation magic, which is a sick move. It kind of reminds me of Kimimaru from Naruto, the way he uses his bones. So that's pretty neat. And then it's up to Yuno to take this guy on, and he's just like I said, this episode does a couple of things really well. One is like humanizing Yuno. We've seen more emotion from Yuno we've seen in the entire series, in my opinion. Like just the way he was yelling at the beginning of the episode, like, what are you doing to my comrades? And the way he was screaming at the end of this episode. And the way he was screaming when he charges straight up to Zenon. But even Yuno's sword doesn't do anything against the Eternal Fangs shielding Zenon. So that we get a pretty good idea of where Yuno ranks up against this guy. So, but closely, he is piercing the Eternal Fangs, but Yuno makes the case like, oh, regenerating the fangs, so at an alarming speed. And then we get, he says he's going to let me show you the true power of a devil. So we see this huge ass devil in the background. Yuno's staring at it. He's shook up by it. And immediately we get the dialogue like, oh, it's not that you're weak, it's just I'm that much superior to you. And then it cuts Yuno's wind sword, and it cuts away once it obviously pierces Yuno for dramatic purposes. It cuts away to Ralph approaching the Golden Dawn, which is completely demolished now. The members and the Dawn is pretty much demolished at this point. So, and then we get and then Ralph notices the Yuno's grimoire, but at the same time you have Belle who's crying in the background as well, so you know something's bad. And then we find out that Yuno's been pierced by the Eternal Fangs. Now, if this had been where the episode had ended, it might have brought into, oh, this could be bad for Yuno, but since there was like so many more minutes left before the end of the episode, I'm like, no. No, this episode was to like teach Yuno just how much of a gap there is right now in terms of power scaling between him and Zenon, because he's going to have to somehow match that at some point. So that's what this episode was for. Like I said, I was shocked that they didn't drag this episode out, but now it makes more sense because obviously they're trying to build up just how large the power scaling is, the power gap is between the two. And I'm sure they're not the only ones. They're going to realize that. A tree blossom, it looks so, even after being captured and being incapacitated, William Vengeance's magic allows him to heal the people that are critically wounded, but not, that's kind of interesting. So conveniently, Claus and Latoil, among others, were and Haman, who was close we're not so lucky. So it looks like they're dead. And interesting because it kind of like raises the stakes. Oh, there's our lives going to be lost. Like, if you want to highlight the fact this is a war, because literally there's war in the title of the next episode. So if you want to highlight the fact that, oh, this is war, people are actually dying in war, hype up the threat, that's one way to do it. So I don't know if these two come back at some point, but yeah, Vangelis' healing abilities have limits, so I like that. At first I thought Mimosa was going to come in, but boy, did Mimosa dodge a bullet in this episode. But then I saw the preview, and I'm like, oh boy, because it looks like Vanica and Dante are on the move, and it looks like they're going to be approaching the Heart Kingdom, which could be bad news for Mimosa, so I'm not so sure she dodged the bullet anymore. But yeah, this episode was great, and highlighting the threat, and highlighting Yuno getting some well-needed character development, because this episode showcased that, yeah, it brought him back down to earth, which he needs to know, like, he needs to get stronger. It's like, and one of the things he says is like, after he gets healed up, there's other members that get back up as well, but then that just urges, like, if only I was stronger, this would not have happened. And we get yelling by the end of the episode, which I don't think he's ever done ever. At least I can recall. That's usually Asta's MO, who usually yells when he's frustrated. So now it's like, oh boy. So now Yuno has a gap to go to bridge, and he has to train or get a power, or somehow get an upgrade with his Grimoire. So that's the only thing that can happen right now. This is 6 months after they've already trained, and the Dark Triad at this at this level. So it's crazy. I kind of want to see what Mereoleona can do against these guys. Even though she's not a captain, we saw what she can do against Yami, just sparring. So I really want to see what she can do, because I get the feeling she would really cut loose against these guys, especially with what we got from her in the Elf reincarnation arc. Yeah, I would pay to see that, but we'll have to wait and see. I wonder who Asta's going to go up against, because it's set in stone there's going to be a rematch between Yuno and Zenon at some point. So who's Asta going to go to? Maybe Dante, but yeah. Consider what Zenon did to Yuno in this episode, and how much stronger Yuno is than Asta. At least for now, especially what's going to happen next episode. So I can't wait to see Vanica in action and Dante in action. The hype of the Dark Triad is real. This episode illustrated that. But more importantly than that, we get more character growth and depth for Yuno, and I like that. As well as other members have got a chance to shine, like I mentioned, like Klaus and Latoil took down Foil. So it would be, like I said, it would be so much easier for Yuno to do that, but they gave it to them instead. So I like that. Really, really enjoyable episode. Yuno's voice acting was on point. So that's good to do for you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Like the review if you did, hit the thumbs up. I appreciate that. Subscribe channel for more Black Clover and other anime related videos. Catch you guys later. Thanks guys. Bye.